there, I'm not thin enough. And before I begin with this reaction, I just want to say, please don't go and abuse Miss Tess Holiday on any other media. Now, a bit of a backstory on me. I'm a former big eater turned atypical Anna turned Anna. And I've been recommended this video to react to. Tess Holiday and her eating disorders. Or rather, just disorder. Anyway, I have a lot to say about this, so let's just begin.
Gorgeous, Tess, thank you.
Model Tess Holiday, known for her bright red hair and body positivity. She's amassed over 2 million followers on Instagram.
You know what's really body positive? Taking care of your body, going to the gym, exercising, eating good food that doesn't have you constantly inflamed like she does. I can tell she's inflamed. She eats so much ultra-processed food.
And major brand partnerships. But below the surface, Tess says she's been suffering with an eating disorder.
I wasn't taking care of myself in the way I needed. I wasn't
that's obvious.
looking after my mental health in the ways that I should have. I was always making sure that everyone else's cup was full and I wasn't filling my own. So I think that's how I went so long without really being able to address, myself and my disordered eating.
The 30.
Yeah, you're definitely a big eater, Tess. I can tell. Yeah.
5-year-old mother of 2 says her decades-long disordered eating caught up to her in the last year.
I would go all day without eating, and I would chalk it up to, I'm busy.
Oh my gosh. Just because you don't snack throughout the day, it doesn't mean that you're not eating. I mean, you might have something. I remember when I was morbidly obese, I was thinking, I was in the kitchen and I was thinking to myself, I'll just take a few little bites of this. And it was just a couple pieces of candy. And I did that throughout the day. And I was like, oh, I haven't eaten all day. But you fool yourself. Just watch an episode of Secret Eaters.
But the thing is, I had hunger pain all day and I was sick all day. Oh, I'm busy, I'm a mom, I'm this, I'm working, I'll eat later. But later never happened. And then at nighttime, usually when my kids were in bed and I could settle, I would eat one meal and then I would go to bed.
Yeah, if that meal is over 3,000 calories, then you're going to gain weight, Tess, because you don't move a lot. Yeah. They say the average average woman should consume about 2,000 calories. You don't need that much. You got to balance it out with how much you're actually doing activity. If you don't do that, you're going to gain weight. It's just common sense.
Holiday sought help and now says she has a form of anorexia, a revelation that has received some support.
I call bullshit.
As well as anger and skepticism.
I am plus size, but advocating for diversity in larger bodies. And so I think for people hearing me say I'm anorexic was really jarring.
Yeah, it is. You meet none of the criteria. You're supposed to be below your standard weight. I mean, I got diagnosed with Anna when my weight went down to 46 kilos. You can't meet the criteria, Tess, then you're not anorexic.
And hard and confusing. I've had a lot of messages from folks that are anorexic that are livid and angry.
Well, of course we are. It's a horrible mental disease. Oh my gosh, it's a real struggle to live with every day. Every day you fight yourself. Every day you look at food as like it's the enemy. Alcoholics and cigarette smokers are lucky because they don't need those things to survive. They can just cut them out of their life. Be abstinent. But people, you have to eat to keep on moving, to fuel your body. And with big eaters, it's always like, oh, I already started eating, I guess I better eat more, eat more, eat more, eat more, eat more. At least that was what it was like for me. And for me and my Anna, it was like, eat less, eat as little as possible. Keep below the calorie line, keep below it. Only 300 calories a day.
Because they feel like I'm lying.
What do you want to say?
Yeah, it does feel like that, Tess. Yeah. If you admitted that you were a big eater, we would all accept that a lot more.
To people who don't believe you, who are skeptical when you say you're anorexic?
To folks that don't believe me, you know, that I'm anorexic and that this is what I'm dealing with, it doesn't really matter because
if you've been on the recent version of Twitter that is now called X, there are stories of people who have discussed people with Anna. I remember vividly this one story about a person who overheard his sister and a friend talking about this girl with Anna. And she apparently was dying. And they both laughed at this. Like they thought it was funny. Like they thought, oh, why doesn't she just eat and then she can get better? Normal people who have never dealt with eating disorders, they can't really comprehend what's going on. I remember one time I admitted to my mother that I just wanted to eat a bunch of food and then throw it up. And you know what she said to me? That's a waste of money. Yeah, let that sink in. You're hurting people, Tess. You're hurting so many people.
At the end of the day, this is my truth. If this resonates with you, if you need help, get help. If this helps you feel less alone, great. It's so much more powerful.
No, it doesn't make me feel less alone, Tess. Now, people with big eating disorder think they're anorexic when they're not. And, I remember the spaces after Tess came out saying this, and I could not believe it. And I don't know the damage she's done, but I can only estimate because there are so many young girls who look up to her.
Powerful just to say, hey, I'm hurting. And if you're hurting too, that's okay. You know, you don't have to do this alone.
Tess having the willingness to speak out about her experience, acknowledging some of the backlash that she's receiving is an indication.
You know, if it was big eating disorder, I would understand. And I know not a lot of people would understand big eating disorder because not a lot of people do. Anna was more common to me growing up than big eating disorder, and she could have helped so many others with big eating disorder, but she chose not to. She went for the skinny route. She went for the more palatable route. At least that's the way I see it.
Of extraordinary bravery and an indication of, her health and healing and some of her process.
Tess confided in the counsel of Anna Sweeney, specializing in eating disorders, who says Tess has atypical anorexia.
atypical anorexia, which would imply the same.
Okay, first of all, Tess said Anna, not atypical Anna. And she does not meet the criteria for atypical Anna. People with atypical Anna, they become preoccupied by losing weight, and they drop it to a healthy range, but they're still obsessed with being thin. Let me just show you something. I'm just going to bring something up. On the left side, we have 2018 Tess. And on the right side, we have 2024 Tess. She has clearly gained weight since 2018. No atypical Anna does that.
Same physiological characteristics of anorexia nervosa, except for body size, accounts for anywhere between 2 and 4% of the population.
Tess says it was her psychologist who initially diagnosed her, a shock, even for the model.
I told the psychologist, well, I won't eat all day. You know, I'll maybe have like coffee, or maybe I'll have, a handful of whatever's around me. And then at nighttime, I'll have.
Yeah. You say a handful, but your hands are massive, Tess. What are you grabbing? Couple of muffins? Those are like 400 calories a piece right there.
Have my meal or snacks or whatever. So I thought that meant that I was a binge eater, and the psychologist looked at me.
You are a binge eater, Tess. You meet a lot of the criteria for it.
And said, "You're anorexic." And then I just started crying.
She says online hate played into her struggles.
Yeah, I am a model, right? I am successful.
You're not a model, Tess. You're the fat lady at the circus. You're a statement piece. Yeah, that's all you are.
Doing this for a long time. I've been talking about, self-acceptance and loving yourself and fat acceptance for a long time. But I still deal with it. I still get people that make me feel like, and that's okay, because unfortunately it's going to take a long time to change society's ridiculous standards. I have had people shouting at me my entire career that all I do is sit around and eat, and
Yes, that's all you do, Tess, because you've obviously gained weight. You don't gain weight from just breathing air.
I was starving. I was literally starving. And I didn't realize that meant that I was anorexic. I didn't realize that I was mindfully restricting not eating.
You're saying
Please use atypical Anna instead of just Anna. If you're gonna get it wrong, at least get it wrong by the dietitian standards.
you weren't purposely not eating in order to be skinny.
If you're anorexic, it's a purposeful thing. I think I was almost punishing myself.
And how long do you feel like you've been?
Yes, big eating and any other type of eating disorder is punishing yourself, Tess. It's a way to express what you have inside on the outside when you just can't find the words. I gained 30 kilos in 1 year because of how depressed I was, but I didn't know how to express it to other people. Or when I tried to, they just dismissed me. It was a really hard time, that.
Purposely punishing yourself.
I've had an eating disorder since when my mom almost died when I was 10. That's when it happened. So from the age of 10 until now, I've struggled with this.
Yeah, it always starts in childhood. My eating disorder began when I was 7 years old. Brutal.
Disordered eating with restrictive eating for the past decade.
Eating disorder.
Oh, she is such a liar. It is physically hurting me. You have big eating disorder, Tess.
Certainly do not occur for one simple reason. There are a million things that can go right for a person, and one thing goes wrong and an eating disorder comes to fruition. And so certainly trauma can be an initiating factor.
Eating disorder.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of bad things happened to me when I was 7. Lost someone who I was really close with. They meant a lot. And then I almost lost another person. And then I lost someone else. I mean, they were still alive, but they weren't there for me anymore.
Disorders are extremely common and may affect nearly 1 in every 10 people. According to a study, about 9% of the U.S. population, almost 29 million people, will have an eating disorder in their lifetime.
There's nothing but messaging that comes from the world that says the worst thing that can happen to you is you might live in a fat body. And so
Well, we know a lot more about the possible health conditions you can get from being obese. Type 2 diabetes, chub rub. It's not really a bad one, but it is annoying. I remember I used to get that all the time. Just being uncomfortable and warm and just feeling terrible. The tiredness. There's also, lipedema that you can get. Although I think that's a genetic condition, so it has to be triggered by, gaining weight. So, or you can get it when you're skinny, and then you get it removed surgically. Yeah, it's a combination of the two, I believe.
everyone is efforting to be smaller, 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 and we know that that's just not possible for most people.
Yeah. There was this girl I was researching. Her weight was about 28 kilos and she was fine. I mean, the moment I reached 46, my neutrophil levels were so low, I was told, stay home, do not leave, you are quarantined. If you catch a cold, you will die. And this girl was just roaming out there, working at a grocery store, absolutely fine. I admit I am still jealous of her.
You can't look at someone and tell whether or not they're healthy. You just can't.
Yes, you can, Tess. I remember at my lowest weight, everyone was just looking at me and judging me and just saying I was too thin. I was putting myself in danger for a look, for my own sense of achievement. People can tell if you're healthy. People look at Eugenia Cooney and you can instantly tell that she is very sick. You can tell whether you're very thin or very fat. People can always tell.
Understand that people look at me and I don't fit what we have seen presented as the diagnosis for anorexia. But then for me, that tells me that there's a larger problem, which I've been actually saying for years, is that we have a lack of diversity and representation in the world.
Yeah, that's true. I really want to see more people of color with eating disorders, people who are lower in the economic bracket, because I see mostly people who fit the Anna stereotype, middle-class women, and seem to be very financially secure, at least in a lot of the media I watch. And it would be nice to expand that, look at the other side. It would be interesting.
Now, in recovery, Tess says she's on a healthier path, which for her includes...
That's a lie. You are not on a healthier path, Tess. Heck, in that picture that I just showed you were eating cereal, ultra-processed cereal. You're just gonna inflame your body more. I hate watching it.
3 meals a day, and a focus on the future.
I have been happier in the last 6 months through my recovery than I've been in my entire life. I feel whole. I feel at peace. I really feel in my power.
If she falls over, I'm pretty sure that kid's gonna die.
For the first time.
Well, that nightmare is over with. Remember to like and subscribe. I'm gonna go and scream into the void now. Bye-bye.